I understand you want to know, where is the gold price headed? Where is the silver price headed? We got some big clues yesterday and today from the Federal Reserve when they announced their monetary policy decision. We're going to talk about why things are so different right now and as we head into the end of the year, and why we could see a record all-time high price in gold. I believe it's within the realm of reasonable possibilities. Sure, we don't know absolutely what will happen, but when we piece it all together, what happened yesterday and what it means, I think we've got good news ahead for the silver price, the gold price, and the platinum price. We could see silver hit that $30 to $35 range by the end of the year. Hey, the clock is ticking, so let's get started talking about what happened yesterday. Hey, we had talked about this here in the basement. We had talked about the fact that the Fed wasn't going to do anything, but what was most important was what they said. But we also talked about how whatever they said was likely going to be a bunch of BS. And that's just what we got yesterday. And I've got a few bones to pick with our old friend Jerome Powell in the United States Federal Reserve. But let's just recap briefly. What was the action? Pay attention to the actions. Remember, actions speak louder than words. The action yesterday was they held interest rates steady. What were the words? The words were essentially higher for longer. Oh, we're going to keep up this great price with the great fight with the inflation. You guys are asking about the hot dog. Can't you see it? Is it on the screen? Hold on a second. We got a hot dog break. For those of you who don't know, we do play Hide the Hot Dog during every live stream. And somewhere on the screen should be a hot dog, but I don't know for sure if you can see it. Hold on a second. Keep looking for the hot dog. Tell me if you can see it. Anyway. The action was nothing. The words were a bunch of BS. We've talked about this. It's almost like Jerome has a case of verbal diarrhea. Okay. Oh, we're going to be tough. Oh, we got to be tough. And how did the market react? I warned you, and we talked about this. They were going to do nothing. But now all they can do, and this is so critical for the future of the silver price and gold price, all they can do is talk. All they can do is talk. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll raise rates a couple more times by the end of the year. Good luck with that. The bond market already raised rates. We got the 10-year bond at 4.5%. We're going to cover that ad nauseum a little bit later and why that is devastation on many levels for the U.S. economy. But the reality is when it comes to the Fed, they're out of ammunition. All they can do is talk tough now. It'd be like if two countries were at war with one another and one of them ran out of mortar shells. And then they just started saying, oh, well, we got something else. Well, you better be careful. We got more to come and you're going to be in big trouble. And eventually the other side calls, what's that word? BS, for lack of a better term. And guys, that's just what we're on the cusp of experiencing with silver and gold, where they're going to call BS on what's going on when the Fed's just talking. But the suckers fell for it, right? The general market, the sheeple, they're all like, oh, the Fed's going to raise rates. The Fed doesn't have any real ammo left. Do you think that right now Jerome Powell's going to raise rates by another 1% in the coming year? Do you think a year from now that we're going to see 5.5% on a 10-year bond yield? That would be absolute devastation for the U.S. economy, because a key thing to remember is way different now than opposed to the 70s and 80s when they could raise rates. The debt levels, the corporate debt, the government debt, the consumer debt, all debt is extremely higher right now than it was back then. They can't raise rates without wreaking havoc in the economy. Look at what 4% interest rates did to the banking sector. Look at what 4%, 4.5% rates, this is on the 10-year bond yield, have done to credit card, to the consumer, what it's doing to companies, what it's doing to the commercial real estate market. It's done, it's over, and we're likely heading into a new era for the precious metals because guess what? Jerome can't stop inflation. And if he can't stop inflation, and he can't raise rates any further, we're in an environment where inflation is going to be persistent and sticky and is going to outweigh, going to become greater than the prevailing interest rate. We'll be heading right back into a negative real interest rate environment, and that will be nothing but good for the gold and silver price. Thank you, Neil, for the super chat, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So when we look at what's going on right now, what more proof do we need that they can't raise rates any higher, right? We've talked, the banks are on life support, okay? We've got a couple of the 30-year bonds, or there U.S. government bonds that are trading at 50 cents on the dollar. That's the extreme example, but the banks are in massive trouble because of their bond portfolios and their commercial real estate portfolios. You know the consumer's in massive trouble because of credit card debt. You know the government's in trouble, okay? You know businesses are also in trouble because the government's got a ton of debt, businesses have a ton of debt. Rates cannot go any higher. It's wake up time. It really is, guys. It's go time. It's time to watch some feathers fly. Right? You know? Now, let's talk about Jerome Powell. I have a couple observations. Did you watch? What did you think? If you watched Jerome's press conference yesterday, thank you again, Neil. Super appreciated. What did you think about Jerome? To me, I made some notes here. Let me read this to you. I thought he looked horrible. I thought he looked tired. I thought he looked worn out. And then I thought it's not easy to be full of BS and to know, like, I sensed that his conscience was weighing on him yesterday. Okay. And I thought, Jerome, it's better just to be honest in life, right? Nobody's perfect. I'm sure you've told a few fibs in your life. I'm 53 years old. I've learned it's better to be completely honest all the time with my friends, with my family, with anyone out there. It's a heck of a lot easier than living in a world of lies. It weighs on a person. And I just really sensed, I could be wrong. Maybe Jerome, do you believe Jerome is being completely honest with us? But he looked worn out. There was even a point during the press conference where he hesitated and it was like he was having a senior moment, which, hey, we're all headed for that. So again, I'm not putting down elderly people. We're all headed for the same thing. But it just felt like Jerome was not natural, was not normal, wasn't real, right? And isn't that what it is? I had this unbelievable conversation yesterday with an executive from one of the big bullion dealers. And we were talking about how yesterday was a big day, right, for the gold and silver market. It was going to be a huge, huge day. And we said, can you believe that we're living in this world, this fantasy world where we're so dependent on the Fed? It's like the Wizard of Oz is going to speak. And that's what it felt like yesterday. And when I listened to him actually then talk during the press conference, I'm like, none of this is real. And what I talked about with this executive from the bullion company was the very simple fact that if we still had real money in this country, if we still had a gold standard and a silver standard, there wouldn't even be a Fed. There'd be no need. We would just have real money. And then he brought up, I thought, one of the most pertinent points. He's like, and there wouldn't be any inflation. And then I mentioned to him, I said, yeah. I said, think about this. Think about this. We're shooting for 2% inflation. Our government that's supposed to be looking out for the well-being of you and me is shooting for the fact that you're going to get 2% of your money stolen from you on an annual basis. Money that you work for, right? Money that you labor for or work, or that 2%. That's what we're shooting for. Heck, last year they took 10%. I mean, isn't this insane? Isn't it crazy? Whereas if we were on a gold, like we were, I know it's nutty, right? You're a nutcase to even to propose considering backing currency with silver or gold, but we were up until 1971, and it worked pretty darn well. I digress. The takeaway for me from watching Jerome yesterday was that he was scared. He didn't seem natural. I think that this is all nervous. I think it's all catching up with him. I think, guys, here's the truth. Okay, here's the truth. And if you don't agree with me, you can say it in the comments. But the truth is, whatever Jerome Powell talked about yesterday during that press conference, that was the tip of the iceberg of what's really going on. And if it's even the tip, we don't even know if it was true. Okay? I mean, unfortunately, if we look at history and reality, that's the case. Okay? And now everybody, all the pundits, and I did notice that silver had made a comeback this morning. Yes. It's waking up. Gold, last I looked, was down about $10 per ounce. Yes. Okay? Yes. I'm fine with that. Given the fact that the general sheeple, the crowd, whatever you want to call it, right? Those other 99 out of 100 people that don't invest in silver and gold are all reading, or they're all watching TV, and they're all reading their papers, and it's saying, oh, the Fed's going to be hawkish. The Fed is hawkish. There's a headline here. I copied it somewhere. Hold on a second. Hold on. Bear with me. Here's a Yahoo Finance headline. Interest rates staying, quote unquote, higher for longer means at least through 2026 for the Fed. So everybody's believing now that that Lucy pulled the football again. Well, you know what, right? And the gold price, right? We've made that analogy like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football and Lucy keeps pulling it. Thank you, Lost for Words. Thank you for that super chat. That Lucy didn't quite get the football all the way out of the way this time, guys. We are in a new era. We are in a new environment for the silver price and gold price. It's not what we've been used to. It's an awakening. All right. But now in proof of this, you want proof of this is, like I said, all the people, the other 99 out of 100, you're the 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 200 that understands silver, that understands gold. But everybody else, the herd, the market, the whatever you want to call them, they're all believing, oh, the Fed's going to be hawkish. Oh, the Fed's going to be hawkish. Well, if that were the case, if the Fed were really about to embark on any type of hawkishness, gold would be down at $1,700. Silver would be down at $18.33, maybe 34 cents per ounce. Platinum would be at what? 780? And that didn't happen. Okay? The worst case scenario, the verbal abuse, that's what we'll call it, the verbal abuse that we've endured over a long period of time, but especially yesterday from the Fed, it lost its potency. Okay, there's like the real power of the Fed to affect the gold and silver price didn't come to fruition yesterday. I want you to think about that for a minute. All right, gold is still above 1,900. Now, I'll be completely transparent with you. If gold gets to $1,843, if silver dips below 20, I'm a little scared. Right? But in terms of the Fed's real ability to fight inflation, they're done. They've shot all their mortar shells. They've gone through all their ammunition. So now all they can do is verbal threats. Oh, you better not, inflation, you better not poke your head up, because if you do, we're coming after you. We don't have any ammo, but everybody looked tough, right? All 12 of you Fed governors look tough. Look like we're going to be tough. New day, new era. This 10-year bond yield, oh man, it is going to reek. If it stays at 4.5, all I can say is it's gonna cause problems on many levels. If it gets above 4.5, and for those of you who don't know, the 10-year bond yield is the bellwether, the 10-year U.S. Treasury bond yield, and it's sitting right below 4.5. The last I checked. Boy, I'll repeat it because it's exciting. The banks, the government, the consumer, and businesses are on the ropes with these higher interest rates. The days of bye-bye, 0% interest rates, they are gone. CoinShop, listen to this. What if I told you that CoinShop Chris shared this with me earlier. Thank you, CoinShop Chris, for sharing this, because I'm going to talk about it right now, and it's crazy. And we're going to talk about it more in a video we're going to do this coming weekend. But, guys, 2 years ago, the interest rate on a 30-year mortgage was around 3%. Okay? Today, that same interest rate, sit down, because this is crazy, is 7.3%. Okay, is that a big increase? That's like 143% increase. But what's crazy, what's devastating for people and for the real estate market, for that matter, is the simple fact that a $300,000 mortgage, the payment today would be more than double of what it was 2 years ago. And that's not all. That's only half of the problem. The other half is the actual house that somebody might want to buy today is likely 60 to 70% more expensive because of Bidenomics. Joe Biden's economic miracle where everybody's doing so darn great. We are headed for trouble in River City. Is that a common saying? I don't know. Tell me. My mom used to always say that. We got trouble in River City, and that was never a good sign. Hi, Mom. I hope you're watching today. We got trouble in River City. You know where my parents are at a casino on a little. They don't go to the casinos a lot, but they're on a trip, and they're on the border of Oklahoma and Texas at this massive. My dad keeps sending me pictures like the casino. It's like a city. It's massive. It's like a miniature Las Vegas. That's how they say it, Las Vegas. Anyway, they're like, you wouldn't believe all the people here, and I'm thinking, number one, look. You do whatever you want. I used to gamble a lot. I got some incredible gambling. I used to love to gamble when I was younger. I don't gamble anymore because you're going to lose. Okay, so all those people losing, but I'm like, where are they getting all their money from? Maybe it's oil money? I don't know. But what is going on out there? It's just absolutely crazy. And before I finish with Jerome, you know what? We get him out real quick. Say, yeah, hey guys. Hey, everybody. Hey, all you 99 out of 100 people, not you. You're a basement dweller. Okay. You've got but everybody else out there, thanks for taking me hook, line, and sinker yesterday. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Heck, I could do the Federal Reserve press conference down here in the basement, right? Oh, we got 100 thumbs up. We got 100 thumbs up. That means I'm going to ring the bell 10 times, one time for each 10 thumbs up. That's called ringflation. There you go, guys. Don't forget, please do give this a thumbs up. We got almost 300 people on a Thursday. You guys are awesome. Please, takes a few seconds. Press that thing that looks like that, and I would be greatly appreciative. The final thing I want to say about Jerome was then at some point during his press conference, he said he had this saying that he put out. It made me sick, made me nauseous. He was like, we're following our mission, which is to look out for the well-being of the average American person. We understand how hard it is with inflation. And I thought, that is the cherry on the top of BS that I've heard. All they have done, all the Fed has done over the last number of decades. I'm sorry, I'm mad. Okay, so if you don't want to hear me be mad, go watch Roadrunner cartoons like Coin Shop Chris says. But I'm mad because all the Federal Reserve, everything they've done, and you know what? The Treasury's complicit with them in this as well, has allowed the top 0.5%, the top 1% of the wealthy in this country to accumulate vastly additional to get wealthier. The wealth distribution in this country is off the charts. And that's a hard number. That's a fact, right? You don't hear about it on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or anything else. So for him to sit there and say that, oh, we really feel for the average man out there who's having such a hard time feeding his or her kids, right? Making their house payment, making their car payment, whatever the case may be. It made me mad to hear that. Well, if you really feel that, then why don't you address wealth disparity in this country? Because it's at a level that it's never been in history, Jerome. And all of your policies over the last 20, 25 years have done nothing but perpetuate this problem. I wonder why. But now all of a sudden you're concerned. Here's the bottom line, guys. Here's the absolute. And this is the little nugget. This is the big nugget. Okay? This is the big nugget. The Fed, and I heard was a great conversation with Frank Giestra, Robert Friedland, and Pierre Lassagne. These are veteran guys that are super intelligent, and they said the same. The Fed needs inflation. There's no other way that the system works without inflating away the debt. That's just a fact. And, okay, so all the verbal abuse that he gave us yesterday, and we're going to fight inflation and blah blah blah. It's all a bunch. It's all a bunch of BS. And for people. Okay, and the silver price and gold price got kneecapped a little bit yesterday, a little bit today, because suddenly everybody's like again, I'm going to read this Yahoo Finance headline to you. All right, interest rates staying higher for longer means at least through 2026. Everybody's like, oh, the Fed's going to be tough for the next, 2 years? Don't forget. Okay, this makes me mad too. Don't forget, 2 years ago, that's the same Fed who was telling you we aren't going to raise interest rates till the end of 2023. We're not even at the end of 2023, right? And we've been through this Uber. So why suddenly are these people dense? Why do they all of a sudden believe them? Why? Right? Why? Remember, he said 2 years ago he's not going to raise interest rates until the end of 2023. Why do you suddenly, why? I want to ask that, not you, because I don't think you do believe him. But why do all my neighbors, because the newspaper told me that's what he said, or that's because that's what the Children's News Network, CNN, told me. So it must be the truth because my TV told me. Well, no, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Don't think the way I think. Don't think the way CNN tells you to think. Don't think the way anybody tells you to think. Absorb the information, right? Do it from an objective perspective and make up your own darn mind. But why would we believe this guy? Do I even have to tell you about the fact that he said inflation was temporary, transitory, and also not a problem 2 or 3 years ago? Oh, but now all of a sudden, instantly, this little scared sheep is what he looked like yesterday. He looked like a little boy who got caught stealing cookies from the cookie jar. We're going to believe him? I don't. Whatever. I don't know Jerome. He's always welcome to join me here in the basement. I would love to have Jerome Powell. He could sit right there on the bear with the Pimbex box. Now, if you think silver and gold are a good way to protect yourself, go check out Pimbex, Pimbex. Pimbex. I love to say it. Read the reviews. Become comfortable with the company. I think you will. I'm comfortable with the company. Check out their prices. Check out their products. I think you'll like what you see. For me, they check all the boxes. Pardon the pun. Now, let's move on to what the Wall Street Journal. You want some great news about what it's like to be an American? Most of you are in America. Some of you are in other countries. Okay. And I think it's this way all around the world, from what I understand. But the Wall Street Journal delivered a whopper, I mean, a whopper of an article today about what's going on in the U.S. economy. Where are you joining me from? Because you know what? Wait a minute. I think I see you. Yeah, right. You are the most important part. There is no live stream. There is no Ron's Basement without you. So I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community. You guys are awesome. The moderators are awesome. We are just a group of people that like to get together and navigate these difficult times together. All right. We want to be safe. Thank you, Tony, for the super chat. Super chats are always appreciated, never expected. So thank you. I'm going to get a drink of water, and then we're going to go right into the Wall Street Journal. Are you still there? Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the Wall Street Journal, and I'm going to do it in my nighttime voice. All right? Susie's yelling at me. Wall Street Journal article, Bidenomics. So, remember what Joe says? This is just what he says, and this is how he says it, so it's not political. Bidenomics, it's working. Okay, Wall Street Journal, they must have missed that message from Joe, because they said, headline, how U.S. households got turned upside down by interest rates. Wait a minute. Didn't we just get news yesterday that supposedly the Fed's going to be tougher for longer? And that means higher interest rates. And like we talked about already, the 10-year bond yield's already at 4.5%. Wait a minute. And things are already a little screwed up. We're going to talk just a few of the key things that the Wall Street Journal brings up. Housing cost. It's economics 101. You probably learned this in high school. You probably learned it in college, if you went to college, or if not, you've heard it. You should never spend more than 30% of your income on housing, whether rent, mortgage payment, whatever the case may be. It's always been around 30%. Right now, because the housing costs have gone through the roof, people are spending 43% of their income on housing cost alone. Are you above that, or are you below that? Because that's the average. Hopefully you're below that, okay? We talked already about how mortgage rates have gone through the roof. Real wages, and again, the Wall Street Journal knocking this out of the park. Real wages and purchasing power, down. Excess savings, down. The Wall Street Journal, they're not pulling any punches. They're actually out right now in the public saying, Bidenomics, if it's such a great thing and had done so great, the reality is, for America, it's much, much different. It can't get much worse without causing a major issue, crisis in this country. Is that what they're trying to do? I mean, is that the plan here? Default, right? A massive reset of everything? That's one of the options, definitely. Really, we're at a point where we have a fork in the road right now because of the screwed up financial condition and monetary condition that our country as a whole finds itself in, right? Government, business, banks, consumers, everybody else. We're at a fork in the road. Are they just going to go for a complete, utter reset? Could it be, a crisis that will allow them to then roll out the much feared CBDC, where they can control how much money you get, where you spend it, how fast you spend it, how slow you spend it, right? That's one of the options. Another option, right, the other fork in the road, is what I think is probably a little more likely, which is mathematically the only way out of this hole not even out of the hole, but to sustain the screwed up situation we're in a little bit longer, is to inflate it away. Okay? Either one of those two options present a very conducive environment for the price of gold, for the price of silver, for the price of platinum. Is it any wonder, right? Now we've just spent a whole half hour, and I am so glad that you're with me. You're a basement dweller. Welcome. A whole half hour just talking about the United States. You're watching me implode live on camera. Anyway, just talking about the United States. So is it any wonder that when we talk about China or Russia or India or Brazil or Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates or Iran or North Korea or any number of a growing number of countries, that they're looking at what we're doing and saying, guys, we're not interested in playing with you anymore. We're not interested in your rules, and you can't even take care of your own house, and you're over here telling us how we need to take care of our house and potentially bullying us around. Is there any wonder? Think about this. Why would any of those countries, I'm just throwing this out there, I don't like it. I don't think you like it either, but it's just the reality of the situation. Why would any of those countries want to hold a material amount of U.S. dollars or U.S. treasuries? When they look at what's going on in the United States, again, we don't like it. We didn't cause it, but it's just the facts of the matter. They're looking and they're saying, well, you're not in a your situation doesn't look too good. Even if we do hold your treasuries or we do hold your dollars as a reserve currency, we're guaranteed to lose money, right? Because inflation, it's the real value of the dollar's going down. Oh, and there's this other factor that we're not real keen on. If we're Russia or we're Brazil or we're Argentina or we're China, and that is that you can decide on a whim, because of what is commonly referred to as the weaponization of the U.S. dollar, to seize our assets from us. Is it any wonder that the world is bifurcating and that those countries are working together now to say, we didn't want to do this. It was kind of nice while it worked, but now we don't think we want to play with you anymore. And when it comes to silver and it comes to gold, and you're talking about this bifurcation, and you're talking about over half of the world's population, and you're talking about massive amount of economy, and you're talking about growing economies, and double kicker. We like to talk about the ick. If we just talk about two of those countries, India and China, right? 2.8 billion people. Like 9 times what we have in the United States. Their economies are expanding. Oh, and they're middle class. What's going on in the United States? Thank you, Jim. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you. What's going on in the United States? Our middle class is getting annihilated thanks to, I'm sorry, I just got to say it, thanks to Bidenomics, right? India and China, massive population, growing economy, growing middle class. Oh, and by the way, I'm just going to leave. You watch the bear will talk to you. By the way, Henry, all those things I talked about just India and China, the people in those countries, they also love precious metals. I heard last night that since 1995, there's been 45,000 metric tons of gold that has moved from the west to the east. America's screwed up. You didn't cause it. I didn't cause it. The world seems to be recognizing that, okay? I'm sorry. I don't like it. Again, I know I say that 15 times. I'm an American patriot, right? I love my country. I don't love what some of the decisions that our leaders have made over the last several decades. The world doesn't like it either. Yeah. And when we look at gold and silver, Right, now, don't forget, they used to base the money in the United States up till 1971 on gold and silver. And suddenly that became a bad idea. But the world has valued gold and silver for thousands and thousands of years as a base, as a tether. Thank you for that super chat, my friend. I can't read it. Splits in truth. Thousands of years, splits in truth, right? Gold and silver have been valuable. Has always been the base of money. And I think it's funny. I like to throw this out. It's not just us. And it's not just a belief. Those are facts. Those are hard facts. But I love to throw this one out. What do you think? What if I told you that there was a Federal Reserve economist, right, a long time, and he didn't die that long ago, who thought the same darn thing? Huh? How would you feel about that? But suddenly, just here in the last 50 years, everything's out the window. Yeah, whatever, all kinds of stuff's been thrown out the window. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But John Exter, who developed Exter's pyramid, the upside down pyramid that shows that gold and silver are the base of real money, he was from the Federal Reserve. He believed it as well. It's going to be interesting. The Fed is out of ammo, unfortunately, right? The numbers don't lie. Right? The power of mathematics. Mathematics show zero. Mathematics show zero forgiveness on the altar of truth. There's no subjectivity. There's no judgment call as to whether or not 8 plus 8 equals 16. There's no judgment call regarding whether or not $33 trillion in debt is a problem. And a $1.4 trillion deficit is a problem. And a $1 trillion annual and growing interest expense for our government, which just adds more to the national debt, which adds more to the interest expense, there's no judgment call on that. That's numbers. That's hard facts. Just like 8 plus 8 equals 16, the Fed may want to think that 8 plus 8 equals, 14 or 20. But no, math shows no forgiveness on the altar of truth. That's the reality. Hey, if you want to protect yourself with some gold and silver, and if you like mining stocks, please, our other sponsor, First Mining Gold, company started by Keith Neumeyer, the founder. Go check them out, firstmininggold.com. If you have any questions, reach out to their director of investor relations, Paul Morris, Paul at firstmininggold.com. He's a great guy. He knows that company. The most exciting thing right now is they have literally millions of ounces of gold in the ground in Canada, 2 big projects, Springpole in Ontario and Duparquet in Quebec, both of which have 5 million ounces of gold in the ground. Already been drilled, already been defined, all that, and they're actually exploring for possibly, right? You never know with exploration, but possibly to find even more gold. It's a stock I've owned for years. I only take sponsorships. Same thing with Pimbex, with companies that I either own, right? And I'm an owner of First Mining Gold, technically, or that I do business with. Okay? I eat my own cooking, right? So just my opinion, I think it's a great value. Mining stocks are risky. Do your own due diligence, okay? But I think it represents a great value. And I kind of like the fact that I own a bunch of gold in the ground in Canada. And by the way, they've got 4 other projects as well on top of those 2 that I mentioned, the 2 5 million ounce projects. So check them out. Hey, be good. Thanks for being here today. I want to wait a minute. Wait. Oh, we got 199 thumbs up. Thank God I don't have to ring the cowbell. Thank you, Coin Shop Chris. Right? We're gonna torture Coin Shop Chris with a ding dong on the screen. Furthermore, we're going to say thank you to Jake from Jake's Custom Parts, another awesome moderator. I think I saw Neil here. If I'm missing someone, all the moderators are super helpful. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you. Let's see who gets Ralph Hart, cowbell. Ralph, when you speak, I listen. For those of you who don't know, we ring the cowbell when we get to 200 thumbs up because that's our show of solidarity, our friendship. Oh, brother. Stacking Surfer. Good to see you. James Berryhill. Mike Herrera. Of course, Jake. Did we just get a super? Yeah. Neil from Neil Hahn's Dynasty. Jim McDaniel. Ring on. Yeah, the bells have been special. Randy Whatshell says he bought some silver from Pimbex, but there was no place to tell them that I heard about them from you. Well, I appreciate the thought. I don't get a commission or anything like that on sales, but I do like it when you guys tell Pimbex that you heard about the company through Ron's Basement. All right, guys, ring it hard. All right, Jake. See you guys. Be good. All right. And I'm telling you, I believe we got some bright days ahead, months ahead for the silver price and gold price.